Hello, my name is Ryan.
And I'm Cassie.
In this video, we're going to tell you our top 10, 5 from each of us, cooperative games. A co-op game being a game that all players on the same team, from start to finish, you all lose together, or you all win together. Hopefully win together, but you might all lose together. I'm going to go right to my number 5. So 5 from each of us. My number 5 is First Martians or Robinson Crusoe. Okay. I don't know which one I like better. I'm right on the line. I actually like the theme of Robinson Crusoe slightly better, but I feel like you like the theme of First Martians better. This might be on your list, so I won't make you say too much. But they're really interesting games. That basically they're longer, they're more complicated. They both share, they're by the same designer, this core thing where you have 2 ways to take actions. You can put both your actions on one spot and guarantee it, or you can split your actions, get 2 different things done, but you have to roll the dice. And rolling the dice, you have a chance of failing, you have a chance of breaking something, you have a chance of maybe spawning more bad stuff on the road, so it's risky. You can do twice as much. So every turn it's really interesting. Hey guys, there's 3 of us. We get 3 things done for sure. Or we could possibly do 6 things, take the chance of failing 1 or 2. It's just a really cool games.
I've only got to play First Martian once at this point. I like the theme a little better, but just because I'm a fan of any game you have, if you just put it in space, it's better. I'm a firm believer in that. Do it in space. Everything's better in space. And I have a personal vendetta from middle school, high school, against Robinson Crusoe. That's the only reason I hate the theme.
The actual theme. Okay,
it has nothing to do with the game at all. It's just that Robinson Crusoe is a painful book to get through. And then the theme is rough. So my number 5 is Mysterium. I think Mysterium is so much fun. It's kind of like a charades type of game. You have everyone has like a person, place, thing they have to discover. And the way the ghost gives out hints to people are through these very colorful, unique, crazy cards. What makes it so much fun is you can give like special hints that you know that other person will understand, so that's really fun. But even if you don't, I think one of like the funnest, it can make it hard and fun all at the same time, is the cards have so much detail to them. You might focus in on one thing, and then the other person focuses on a completely different part, and the hint completely goes off the rails. But the ghost who is giving hints sometimes feels like they're against you, but they're not.
I was going to say it's almost a 3 versus 1, but it's not. The ghost is actually on your team.
The ghost wins too. Everybody does win. But I found this game is great for small groups of players. I've played it with just 3 before, but I've also taken it and played it up to way above the player count, and then just divided each group, person, place, thing that someone had guessed into smaller groups of 4. So it's been able to go up to, I played with over 20 people before, and it was insane, but it was super fun. So I just find that game really good.
My number 4 is a game called Eon's End, or Aeon's End, depending on how you want to pronounce it. I think I looked it up. I think the proper pronunciation is Eon's End. But I think you played this once with me. It's like a boss battler. So you basically have this whole backstory supposedly happened, and you were on a fantasy world, which is my favorite thing, but you're fighting the big boss at the end. And it's an interesting game. You have the cards, you're a deck builder where you're going against this bad guy. You each have your own character that has some special traits and stuff. I think what's really neat about this game is 2 things. It's really hard. You make it harder if you want to, but it's a very difficult game. So you have to be really helping each other. You have things that, I can give my friend, I almost said opponent, my teammate a boost here, but those things are huge things. Also, you don't shuffle your cards, they stay in the same order. So as you add new cards to your hand, you have to really think about, okay, if I want to give my teammate a boost, where do I want to put that boost? Or you have your spells at the top that you're going to blast off at the bad guy, but you don't have to blast off. You can hold him back for a turn. So you put a spell there because you're waiting for your teammate to get their spell to put up there, so you can work together. They just have there's a lot of really unique things to kind of dig in. The first time I played the game, I was like, this is so hard. And we lost several times. And
I've never won it.
It's very interesting. You have to it's deeper strategy. It's a lot like a game that will be on your list later, I'm sure. Yes. And for me, because it's a lot of this other deck builder that we'll talk about. But I like that it's so much more difficult for me. And I also enjoy the little bit, you have to have some gaming of your deck. But really unique game. It feels good when you win. You have to, the turn order is a little random. The bad guy could take 2 turns in a row. You flip out cards for turn order. But that's another part of the whole figuring out the puzzle. You're like, okay, so we know he has 1 turn. Then you could possibly have 2 more once we reshuffle the initiative. Just has a lot of things like that. There's a lot of things for a deck builder, ways to spend your money. You can charge powers, you can buy new stuff. There's just a lot of things to use your buy power to do, which I like in a deck builder. I don't like deck builders feeling pigeonholed into. I have 6 money, I have to buy the 6 now. It just gives you some options. So I think it's a really cool game. It's not my favorite theme. You're like fighting monsters and they're ugly. Fantasy themes I think are kind of meh. I'm pretty much...
Yeah.
I'm not over them.
The art style's amazing in
I'm
that
not over fantasy. I was never into fantasy. It's just not that exciting to me. Like, I am Rageborn, the big dragon man, and you're like...
And that's why he's ostracized from all the nerds and the geeks. We just can't stand this guy.
I don't have any friends. Right, what you got for number 4?
Okay, my number 4 is kind of a group of games, not like one specific. Escape room games.
Yeah.
That I've never played one that's competitive. I don't even think there is one that exists that competitive. There could be.
Horrible idea.
I know. I'm like, I've probably played around 20 to 30 of them.
Okay.
They are just so much fun because they're all a mystery. They're all a puzzle, and there's tons of different creators. So like, there's like Exit, which is like one brand of them, and that's probably the one I've played the most of at this point. Now they are a one-time play. You will not play it again, especially if you play the Exit ones. You will be destroying every bit of that game. Right. You will be tearing up the box. You will be cutting up cards. You'll be coloring on things. But just like solving all the puzzles together and having a unique puzzle every time. And it's just kind of fun. And it's definitely like a new experience. And, you know, cutting up pieces and actually using like a box or something. It's just a really unique experience that I think I've never met anyone who hasn't enjoyed it.
Yeah. I think it's a good pick. I think it's kind of like, it seems ridiculous to spend $10 and tear it up, but I usually equate it to going to a real escape room with a group. You pay $100 for the whole group to get in. It's that same idea, one-time experience, you play it. I enjoy it too. I don't really think about them for the list, so I don't know if they would make my list or not, but they are really good experiences. I've done 2 or 3 with you guys. Yeah. I've always liked it.
We've always done a ton, and they've always been fun. I've never had a bad experience on any of them, and everyone I've introduced them to has always loved them and have started buying like ones that I've already done so that they could do them with other people and introduce them. Yeah. Just something that everyone can enjoy.
Yeah. Cool. My number 3 has already been said already. We have a crossover already, and that's Mysterium. And I would agree with everything that you said about Mysterium. It's an interesting co-op because it feels a little bit like the Ghost is like... I mean, if you play this game, it's a lot of fun, but the Ghost is always like, gives one card like, really? Really? And you're like, you can't say anything because it goes, but it's so much fun. I think, like you said, the best part maybe is that whole... You feel you can uniquely give someone a clue, which can be frustrating sometimes because you give someone a clue and then they know what it is, and everyone else convinces them of something else. But some of the best experience in the game, like my most memorable part of the game is giving someone a clue because for some reason it reminded me of Beethoven and the person looked like Beethoven a little bit and they were just kind of like, I'm that guy. And I was like, yes! And everyone's like, there's nothing that relates those two things. And I'm like, but it didn't matter. It's very unique experience. I love it. And like you said, it seems to go over well. As long as the person playing the Ghost can take a little hate because people will hate on the Ghost a little bit throughout the game. It's just always going to happen.
And sometimes the Ghost deserves it all.
Sometimes the Ghost draws bad cards.
I've only played the Ghost a handful of times because I think you just love being the Ghost, and so does Joel. Yeah, and so I'm usually fine wherever I am. Yeah. I played the Ghost not long ago, and I was like, man, this is hard. I was like, this is really hard.
Yeah.
You know?
It's really a hard game.
But it's very fun.
All right, you're on to number 3, right?
Yep, so my number 3 is Gloomhaven. I really struggle placing this game because it is co-op and I love this game. It is not for anyone. It's a game I just don't recommend.
It's not for anyone.
It's just, there's so many things that I think are just like not the best or really not compatible because it is a form of like legacy game. I mean, I have owned this game since it came out like 4 or 5 years ago. We're still playing it.
Not me.
You are not. Me and Joel are playing it. And we have been playing it, I wouldn't say always regularly, but, you know, we moved on to the expansion now. But we're still going back to the base game.
Yeah.
It's a lot. And I wouldn't say, it doesn't have necessarily the best rule book, which can be a little difficult. But this has been, like, the most fun I have had in a game in a long, like, especially a legacy game, just... It's been a blast. We have our own characters. We have stories. We have names for our characters. Like my current character right now, or actually I just finished his character, was named Hallie Sunbury.
Finished.
Yeah. Her name is Hallie Sunbury because she's got spiky hair and she's like a sun witch person. And so it's like we have all these goofy characters and we've made up some story on our own.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just really fun. But I don't think most people are prepared for that game and for what it is and continue. You have to get together with the same people. You can't just keep on bringing a new person in every time. It's not that type of game.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I haven't played it, is like I feel like I'd want to play it 20, 30, 40, 50 times, and it just probably wouldn't happen. But it sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah. I mean, we're over 100 rounds at this point.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's a lot. It's just, and it's expensive. I think it might be over 100 nowadays. Yeah. It was 100 when we bought it.
Which is cheap if you're going to play it 100 times.
Yes,
that's a great deal. Some people buy a game for $50 and play it once or never. Yeah. Or never. So it's a good deal if you
I feel like I was so negative on it. I love this game. It is so much fun. And
she just doesn't want you to run out and buy it and be like, oh.
I would feel so bad if someone went and spent that much money and then was just like, because it is a dungeon crawl, which is not normally my thing either, but if you're just not into that, don't go spend your money on it. Yeah. It's fun if you have someone to play it with, though.
Yeah. All right, so my number 2 is actually a competitive game.
Oh.
I lied.
Goodness gracious.
It actually is a competitive game, but it has a cooperative mode, and that is the new Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition.
Oh, that's real sketch.
What?
That's real sketch.
No, I think I actually prefer the cooperative mode, and I've hardly played it on competitive, so that's actually probably why I prefer it. But it's a lot of fun. It's okay. Honestly, these 5 games, I like them all a lot. They could have been in many orders. I struggle with putting this in order. So I was like, it doesn't deserve number 2. And I was like, Mysterium number 2. No, Mysterium should be number 2. And I was like, First Martians, no, the rulebook's not going to be number 2. And like, I just struggle with people. But I think it's a really fun game. I think what I like about best on cooperative mode, there's a lot of card play. There's like, you're trying to build up your cards in front of you to get more resources to try to terraform Mars, trying to add oxygen, trying to flip over, trying to terraform the planet, and try to add heat to the planet so it works. Become habitable, not inhabitable. I guess either way, yes. But you're trying to do also. I think what I love about the co-op mode so much in this game is when you're playing competitively, it's a high score wins. When you're playing cooperatively, it's just you have this many turns, terraform the planet. Can you get the planet done in time? So you have this many turns, we have 3 turns left. We have to add this many heat, this many oxygen, and flip over this many tiles. It's just it's just so satisfying. Like if you win, you won because Mars was terraformed. I can't talk during this one. If Mars gets terraformed, you win. If it doesn't, you lose. Just such a cool goal. So when you're playing on a team, you do things like, hey, I have a lot of good heat cards. I'm going to go for heat. I think it balances it out a little more than the competitive version where you might just have really good cards. You're on a team. So if I have a lot of good plant cards, base cards, hey, if you have any heat, hold on to them because I don't have any heat production. So it ends up being a really fun play. So
yeah, that's a really good one. I've only played it twice and both times co-op, and I thought it was a really fun experience. I wouldn't play with you competitively.
I don't think you would like it.
I don't think so either.
I would enjoy competitively too. I have, but I think co-op is pretty fun.
Yeah. I've only played it co-op, and I have a hard time picturing it as a competitive game because it works so well as a co-op, I think.
Right. Well, obviously it was first competitive. But yes, I agree. It works really well.
They seem to have made it work, yeah.
It's really cool. So, cool. But you got number 2.
Okay, so my number 2 is Harry Potter.
The game that I replaced Eon's End with, in case you're curious. Yeah, Harry Potter, Hogwarts Battle.
I think it's Hogwarts Battle.
Whatever it's called. You call it Harry Potter.
I just always call it Harry Potter. So, Harry Potter is a deck building game, and it's pretty fun. I like it. So it has a box of cards for every single book. So if you're into Harry Potter, it is kind of fun to see
I never put that together. That's why there's... That's amazing.
You asked me the other day, and I kind of looked at you like you were dumb, but then I answered.
I was like, are there 10 different boxes, or is there 12? Or are there 8 boxes?
I was like, no.
Proceed. I'll just be ashamed over here.
That's okay. Okay. You were never cool like us.
She wants to say I'm stupid, but she doesn't want to say I'm stupid. Go on to number 2.
So but you have a box for each one, and so that's really fun if you know the story, because it brings in different villains, it brings in different items, all that are related to whatever book/movie it correlates with. I think one of the other really cool things about it, and why I found it very easy to pull out with pretty much anyone, this is probably one of my easiest on my list, aside from maybe Mysterium, to pull out with anybody. And I've never had a bad experience with the game either. Everyone has loved it. I've pulled it out with people who are really not into Harry Potter and really not into board games.
Well, Harry Potter, I'm into board games.
Yeah.
I don't care about Harry Potter that much, but it's really fun.
And they have always loved it. But the way how every box works, it adds another layer of complexity. So you start out very basic, card deck building. You buy cards, and then you spend your hand, and that's it. And then the next level adds on something new, and then your characters get powers, and you get these cards. So then by the end, it's a relatively complicated deck builder.
It is.
But you've got to build up to it and just add one rule at a time. And then the expansions also did the same thing. They had 4 more boxes in each, adds a new mechanic every time. And I just think that like works really well, especially for people who are not experienced board gamers, because it's very basic and then becomes pretty complicated in a deck builder. Yeah. I think at least.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. My favorite thing about the game for sure is the building up. When you first start, like you play a character that says, oh, like whenever you do this on your turn, you can give your teammate 1 coin to have more purchasing power. And you're like, that's so lame. And then like once you get the engine kind of churning, it's always like, this is a game that we always are like, well, I'm going to buy 1 card. It's your turn. You're like, I can't afford any cards, but I'm going to do 1 damage. Yay, okay, my turn. I'm going to heal 1. And then like you get parts of the game that you have like, oh, okay, you draw 2 cards. I have cards to give you cards. Now you have 7 cards. On your turn, you're like, I'm going to do 14 damage and kill all the bad guys. You just, the arc is like this, and you're just like, and you become really powerful. And those little tiny things like passing someone a coin could be everything. You're like, I could afford, who's the top card?
Dumbledore.
Yeah. I could afford that. I need 1 more coin. You're like, I can give you a coin because I have the card that can pass a coin. So it really encourages that working together.
And every character is different on their abilities too. It's like you do have a general, then a spellcaster, then an ally strength, and then a healer. And so you do have and you can play kind of anything, but you will be way more successful if whoever's playing the character, you specialize, which makes it really fun and every character plays differently.
Very cool. Very cool game. All right, so my number 1, completely shift geared. So I've been naming pretty much big games, right? And my number 1 is The Crew. I think The Crew is super fun. It's almost kind of like Mysterium. Doesn't feel like a cooperative game because you have to keep your hands secret. In lots of cooperative games, you get to talk a lot. In The Crew, you are all on team. You're completely cooperating, trying to get some mission done. Trick taking, you do something like we need the blue 6 to go to Cassie. But we can't say who has all the cards. So we're like, how can we guarantee we don't mess it up? Where I play a card and Joel wins the blue 6 and now the round's over. We have to do things. You can signal 1 card a turn. And mostly it's things like, okay, I'm playing the blue 9. Everyone bleed out your blues. Make sure Cassie can get that. So it's different. It's not like this big game with all these mechanisms. It's just this core idea of interesting ways to do trick taking. Then there's 50 missions. Every mission changes something, gives you a new challenge. It's super fun. Again, it's definitely my favorite cooperative game. It feels different than the other ones. I think I would bring it out in a different setting than any of my other games on my list. This isn't like big game we're all going to. This is more like, it's really interesting, play together, have a good time. You can, sip coffee while you play, be a little more relaxed. You can play 1 round for 5 minutes. You can play 15. You can play an hour if everyone's into it. It's just pretty loose, but I love The Crew. It's awesome.
So my number 1 is like pretty much the complete opposite of your number 1.
Oh yeah,
it's long,
I know your number
complicated.
1.
Eldritch horror, and I will also include both editions of Arkham or the 2nd, 3rd edition of Arkham. Kind of fall in the same categories. They're really similar.
Anything Fantasy Flight makes with Cthulhu goes in this category.
That's not true.
Just joking.
Because I have another game that is, but it is not on my list.
Oh, okay.
I love these games. They're co-op, story-based. And I thoroughly enjoy story-based games that have like cards to read with a really strong theme. The game gets somewhat hurt by the fact that I can't bring it out with everybody. Because it is really complicated, and not everyone is into the Cthulhu theme as much. I enjoy it really well. No, I'm not against it. Even another theme. They could have made the same game with a lot of fun story. Didn't have to be Cthulhu, but lots of story cards. You have to work. If you don't work as a team, you're not going to win. You're just going to lose. Like, there's no way of winning if everyone is just, like, doing their own thing. You have to go places and get stories to make your characters stronger, to get new advantages, even and to progress the whole plot of the story. So you got like big overarching stories and then individual like mini story quest. And depending on your character, like you might have a mage character has really strong like spell powers, and you'll send them to certain places intentionally because you know they can handle that. And you might send your strength guy to go fight monsters. But it takes a lot of that, and the stories are all good. They're fun, they're interesting, they're quirky sometimes. And I just think but not everyone's into story games, so it doesn't get taken out as often, even though I love it.
Yeah.
And I have all the expansions of it. So it's a big game now at this point.
It's a big one. It's a big one. Yeah, I would agree. And like, I think someone like me, I'm like not as into the Cthulhu thing. It's fine. I'm just kind of like, it's cool. But I need someone on my channel to come on who doesn't like this game either, because I do videos with Cassie and Joel a lot, and both of them love this game. And I'm okay with it. I don't hate it. But okay, real quick, we forgot to do honorable mentions. Real quick. Shoot. I know 2 games that didn't make the list for me. One would be Harry Potter, was the first one off the list, and the other one's totally different. Is actually, I don't know if you thought about this, Codenames Duet. Didn't quite make the list, but obviously with certain groups, like 2-player only, it would be a good game. So
that was really good.
What do you got to sound on the list?
I have a lot more on mentions.
She loves. This is her top 10 of all time, actually, right now.
Yeah, it's pretty close. I was actually surprised this one didn't make it on your list. Ghost Stories. Ghost Stories almost replaced Mysterium for me as my number 5. Ghost Stories is incredibly hard to win. I have lost it so many more times than I've won it. So you feel really good when you win it, though, because it is so hard.
Do I not have Ghost Stories ranked? Or was it written down?
I don't.
It wasn't on my pool of games. Yeah, this one...
Just missed it?
This one, First Martian just gone. This is my number 5.
It's an incredible game. It's
I
super
actually
fun.
like it. That's a really good one.
Pandemic is also on my list. Final Hour, I have Robinson Crusoe, which you already talked about, and then The Crew. Okay. So those are my last 2. You already had them on your list, though.
Cool. Well, hopefully they give you some suggestions of games to check out. Like I said, like there's sometimes competitive games are good. I like competitive games more than you, but I think both are the same boat where certain groups, co-ops are just, they're perfect, right? So this group where the co-op's going to work really well. And then no one leaves with hurt feelings. Typically you're like, oh, we lost that together or we won that together. So
yeah, that's true. Except for Ghost Stories. Everyone feels bad at the end of that one.
Everyone's sad.
You never feel good.
Ghost Stories is really fun. I think it should be on my list. I think I had a pool of all my co-ops I had played in my life. I'm trying to remember how that list looked, but I think I just somehow didn't transfer that one or something. So
I forgot about it till Joel mentioned it to me yesterday, and that was why I added it.
If Joel was here, it would be like his number 2.
Joel was like, why do you have Mysterium on there instead of Ghost Stories? I'm like, they're so next to each other. I could have almost interchanged all of these games. I love all of them. There was nothing.
There's no point of you watching this video. We're sorry.
I was like, well, my 1 and 2 could probably flop, but I could flop them back. My 3 and 4 could flop. And I was like, I just love all these games. They are my type of game, and I just enjoy them all.
Yeah. Well, cool. Thanks for watching. If you want to let us know what your favorite cooperative games, or if you completely disagree with all Cassie's terrible picks, feel free to let us know down in the comments down below. And we will see you in the next video. If you want to follow the channel, subscribe. You'll see stuff like this. You'll see some fun game playthroughs of games, some groups, some solo, and some reviews. So see you next time.
Bye.